Hi there, it's Mark and Jules from Xboss, and today we're talking about stock turn and how by getting to grips with this simple metric you can make your pro shop business more efficient. One of the most common queries we get asked is, how much stock should I have in my shop? Well, if you've got too much stock, you might need to sell it off and lose margin. On the other hand, having too little stock will disappoint customers and see you losing out on sales to competitors. Getting it right is one of the hardest things in retail, but there is a way to work out what's right for your business.
Indeed, yeah, luckily, cleverer bods than us have looked at this conundrum and effectively come up with a really quick and easy way of identifying where you have too much or have too little stock. Now, it's called a stock turn. Now, basically, it's a numbering system. So the higher the number, the more efficient your stock holding is. The lower the number, the more likely it is that those products will not sell at full price as you go forward. It can be run for the whole shop, or it can be done by group, or even by brand. So, to work that number out, you take the amount of stock that you have right now and divide it by the cost of the sales that you've made over the past 12 months. So, for example, if you hold £50,000 of stock, that's in cost price right now, and in the past 12 months you've actually sold, let's say, £100,000 worth of sales, that's in cost price. All you do is you take that £100,000 of sales and you divide it by the £50,000 of stock, and that gives you a stock turn, in this case, of 2. How does that actually help us? Well, now you know that the £50,000 you have in stock will potentially take up to 6 months to sell through. But how do I know if it's any good? Well, again, just like any stat, by comparing it to the marketplace, and we can tell you what is good and what needs work. Just as an idea, by the end of 2023, the average golf retailer shop had a stock turn of about 2.5. Now, ideally, you should be aiming between 3.5 to 4, with the high street in general actually even higher than that.
And here's the key to it all. Your stock levels and the margins that you make are fundamentally linked. So if you're carrying too much stock at some stage, you'll need to do some heavy discounting just to get rid of it. And ultimately, this will damage your margins. Stock turns are there to help you balance your need to keep the right amount of stock for the sales that you typically make. So to find out your shop stock turn number, take a look at the stock valuation report in Xboss. If it's lower than 3.5, you're probably overstocked. And while there's no big need to panic, it probably is a good idea to start looking now at how you might slim things down.
So let's take a little bit of a deeper dive into how we can use a stock turn to improve our margin. So let's say we have 20 bags in stock and they cost you £2,000 in total. So in the last 12 months you actually sold 40. So that gives us a stock turn again of 2. But we know that really our stock turn should be in 4, as we said earlier. So in this example, ideally, we should actually be investing £500 up front every quarter, as opposed to the big £2,000. So this frees up our cash flow, and it ultimately allows us to be more flexible throughout the year. So buying more as and when you need them, and holding back as opposed to investing up front. Ultimately, that leads to a reduction in discounting because you're more flexible, and ultimately improve your margin. Remember, stock sitting on shelves is actually just tying up your cash.
That's right. Of course, a stock turn can only take you so far though, and it's worth remembering a few key pointers. So firstly, each product group will have its own stock turn. A stock turn for a custom fit product will generally be much higher than a stock turn for bags as you buy to order. So you can contact us for more details on targets for each group if you want to. Secondly, some product may not be available for purchase later on in the year. So you need to weigh up buying in bulk versus the risk of not being able to restock a product that is selling well later on in the year. Lastly, you also need to balance out the discounts that you'll get for buying more up front against the margin you could potentially lose if you don't sell all of them at full price. A lower stock turn might be worth a sacrifice if the deal you get for buying in bulk is so good. But the key is you're thinking about this balance based on facts from your Xboss reports, as opposed to making decisions on gut feel.
Exactly, yeah. And the final bit of advice would be on how you can slim down the stock and improve your stock turn. Well, first thing is make sure you get into a habit of checking those Xboss sales reports. So look at your weekly reports, look at slow moving products, look at how the brands are performing against each other. And get your team involved. That's really important that they understand that as well. And then it's obviously focusing on sales techniques, so looking at merchandising, moving things around the shop, just highlighting different products as the time goes by. And obviously working with your suppliers. So now you get some numbers together, you can work with them to maybe look at delivering fewer items but more frequently. And the key thing out of all of that ultimately is that you're always going to buying meetings prepared. That is the most important thing. So you need to be armed with, again, use your XBOSS system, get your turnover figures, get your stock holding, margin and stock turn for each brand and group. You can then compare brands within each group, so you can take the best performing brands and aim to get all your other brands up to where they are, what level they're at.
That's right. So that's it from us. Good luck with the rest of the season. And as always, get in touch if you have any queries about how to use XBOSS, or if you just want some retail advice. Email us at hello@xboss.co.uk.